Hey, welcome to Senior Tech Unfiltered, an AnewVCS.org podcast where we're connecting seniors to tech one click at a time. My name is Eric,
And I'm Veda.
and we are part of AnewVista Community Services, otherwise known as AnewVCS.org. And so, Beta, um, we haven't done an introductory podcast yet, and so we thought we'd spend a few minutes just talking about who we are and what we do. And let me just start by saying, we as a New Vista are committed to helping mature adults maintain independence at home and enjoy life to its fullest. And, we believe that it's really hard to do that without technology. What are your thoughts there?
Well, independence is something that we all want, right? And to maintain independence today means that we have to be able to, handle our appointments, handle all of our medical stuff, be able to get deliveries and support and all of those things that, quite frankly, are forcing us to go more and more through the internet to access. So everything is funneling us into this giant, digital beast, if you will, that we all have to use. And I like how you were saying earlier about, we're the last generation that knows what a dial tone or has experienced dial tones. We
Yeah.
can't just call up our doctors and stuff today. It's just not available.
Well,
We can't.
yeah, go ahead.
Just trying to do this as far as calling up, let's say, a grocery store. We can't do that either. So it's all now through the internet, and that's because for businesses, it's easier to scale. If we're looking at things that are, let's say, financial, or if we're looking at medical, it's easier for them to pass audits and, keep us safe and that type of thing. And the internet has all of that available to them at scale. So everything is going that direction.
Well, I think there's two factors that have happened here recently. One of which is the rise of next day and same day shipping.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, that has just absolutely put out the brick and mortars and then the pandemic. So let me talk about the first one. Once upon a time, if I was doing, let's just say, an irrigation project in my backyard where I was doing all these, making a sprinkler system out of PVC pipe, I had an Ace Hardware literally up the street from me, and they carried every piece that you could ever want.
And they had
And then,
experts.
yeah, and they had expert and you get help. And now, if you go to the big box stores, they only carry the ones that are most popular in demand.
Yes.
And so, if that brick and mortar has closed down, where do I go? I have to
Yeah.
go online.
You have to go online.
And then something a few years ago that happened called the pandemic, which, honest to God, is 5 years old now,
Yep.
but has accelerated the need for or the placement of everything online. Video visits with your doctors became popular, and finally, insurance companies figured out how to bill and pay the doctors for these video visits. But it's time savings and it's money savings from the hospital and the doctor's office perspective. And it's also a huge time saving to get answers at home when you're not feeling well already and you don't want to go to the doctor's office.
Correct.
Or when we had to schedule vaccinations in our in the vaccine for the pandemic. You couldn't do that without doing it online. I remember a conversation in one of our classes. His name happened to be Joe, not a pseudonym, but his name was Joe, and he was freaking out because his vaccination was going to expire after 6 months, and he couldn't get an appointment.
Yes.
Great point of what we were doing. Everybody online volunteered their best known methods and helped him get a vaccination schedule. So it's one thing that I kind of digress about, but one of the good things about our community. So we're here to help maintain or to make sure that people, seniors, access technology safely and kind of efficiently because you've noted a lot in the past that frustration is something that gets overlooked quite often.
Absolutely. And once they get into that frustration cycle, it's really hard to get them out of it. And what we talked about from the very beginning is that by providing the information in a safe environment, in an environment that's also very social per se, right? It's not so much a lecture as it is this very interactive thing with our audience and other members, online and in the classroom. Both of those things work together to just, kind of springboard off each other so people ask questions, they feel safe asking questions, and then other people go, well, oh, I was thinking the same thing, and it just kind of, rolls from there. So it's
Yeah,
it's
we're
nice
we're
that
we're
we
less taught, we're less classes and more tech talks and
correct.
conversations.
Yes. And that's really critical because it's not just, oh, here's your information, go. No, it's a back and forth. And people often bring their devices into the tech talk and try it right there. And then just, it's goes quickly.
Well, you know what happens when you have a conversation? It's less intimidating.
Very much so.
Back to the frustration piece though. I have a saying. It's called a rationalization of need.
Mm,
So when somebody's frustrated with something, they just say, "Oh, I don't need it."
correct.
Hey, you should get online. You should check out Instagram, or you should Venmo your grandkids or whatever. Well, it's too complicated, so I guess I don't need it. I'll just write a check. It's this rationalization that is a result of fear and frustration that just says, I don't need it. And there's so many benefits of technology that can help people beyond just the safety and the connections and the just ordering of supplies. It's about inclusion,
Hmm.
right? And being able to be included in current events and topics, being included with your friends and family in the events that are happening in their lives. It's being included um, about being in the know of what your friends are talking about. Okay. So whether it's streaming, whether it's Sam Bankman-Fried, who's, a local person here in the Bay Area, whatever the case may be, it's about inclusion. And once we're included into to the topics and discussions and social circles and supplies, or even movies that are streaming that are only exclusive on Apple TV, or whatever the case would be, it helps create a social connectedness to the rest of their community in a lot of ways.
Right. And we need to leverage both of those, right? We need to leverage the fact that, yes, we can deliver technical information, technical support, all of those types of things, and both in a group environment and a one-on-one. But we also need to leverage the whole social side of it. Whether that's
Yes.
community building or whether it's just, as you pointed out in the first example, the community knew where we could get vaccines and then how you could go about getting the different appointments, which ones were still had appointments available, which ones didn't. And they really came together and shared that information together to make sure everyone was covered.
Yep. It's friends helping friends.
Exactly. And so
I,
we get to the point now where, we've developed a curriculum of what, over 200 different subjects, that we deliver through Tech Talks. We're at 3+ Tech Talks, free Tech Talks online and in person per week. We're
let,
also
let's
offering
talk about that for a minute, right?
okay,
Because we're doing 200 plus tech talks a year, both in person and on Zoom. It doesn't sound like, as we say it out loud, it's not actually what we're doing, right? We are at places often, we're in places, and we're including an online community at the same time. So
correct.
we may be at a location, but at that location, we're also having our online community.
And
And
that's
so
been
what,
critical
yeah, so why do we do that?
because the online community has been with us for a while. They're in the flow of the tech talk. They already know that they're safe, that they're not going to look silly or whatever asking a question. And it's really great how when we go into a new facility or we get just new students and they see, wow, this is really interactive. I can ask my question. And it just gives them permission to open up.
Yeah, I think from the start and from day one, which we're now 5 years old, I think from day one, we treated every question as a valid question. There are no stupid
No
questions.
such thing.
And it's so many times where we're either helping somebody or we're in a class or there's a new student and they say, well, I've got a stupid question. And our immediate retort is, there are no stupid questions.
Right.
Because ultimately, if one person asks it, somebody else is thinking it. And so we encourage all questions. And actually, I think this is one of those things that makes us different from everybody else. We treat adults like adults. We treat
Yes.
adults like they can learn. We don't patronize them. We don't sit there and say, well, you're stupid. Why are you asking this? Just do it this way. We take a little bit different approach. We teach the logic behind things, and we always say things like, tools may change, but behavior doesn't. And what that really means is that there might be new technologies and new tools, but we're still going about things in the same manner, and we should understand how that same manner is being applied to new technologies.
Yes. And I,
And
I
so,
think too, Eric, one of the things that happens in the dynamic of how our students, our clients behave in a tech talk is yes, they first, you know, feel that permission to ask a question or whatever, but that kind of happens because we're dampening that frustration and fear. And who was the professor at Stanford says what we really want to do is get them to move from fear to curiosity. And we see that as, the whole frustration and the whole fear thing gets dampened a bit, the 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 curiosity just ramps. And once we get them to that point, it's very self-sustaining because no longer is their ego at stake, right? They're just
yeah.
going to ask questions because they want to dig.
Well, I think that's our secret sauce also. We don't have an ego.
No.
We as teachers and an organization don't have an ego.
Right. How many times have
Um,
you said, well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll look it up and get back to you? I mean, we
well,
don't know everything.
not as many times as you have, but that's
All right.
No, you're right though. It's like we don't have an answer for everybody, and
No,
and
it's
and
not
we'll go
about
back and
us.
we'll figure it out. And we ourselves are learning all the time as well.
Yes,
And so I think once we realize that, that helps us become a little bit more approachable.
yes. And
Um,
what do they say? To learn something really deep, try teaching it.
yeah, yeah, there is a secret sauce there, and I think we have to give a lot of credit to our community as well,
Yes,
which is 2,500 plus strong here in the Bay Area.
yes. I still want to finish my kind of overview of how we do this or what we do
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
it's the curriculum, right? It's 200 plus pieces of curriculum, 3 plus tech talks a week. We also provide office hours when we go to the different facilities or different events, however that is. Then we also do in-home support, and that's been really critical because now we're not just doing this and giving people information. We get real-time feedback about how effective the tech talks are. Because
Yes,
if they don't grab or they don't equip the people the way we think, it really shows up in home in live fire. So that's been
yes.
really critical to informing what we do.
Well,
And
it's
then
real time
fine,
validation.
yeah, exactly. When we go in, it's not just like, oh, I've got a computer problem. It's like, whoa, did the lesson take or not?
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the 200 plus topics.
Okay,
And so people might think, I don't have 200 things, and what am I going to learn about 200 different topics?
right.
And it sounds intimidating, but it's really not because we do take a journey. And, I always tell the example, we have these classes, this tech talks, I should say, these use cases. For example, now I've been hacked. What do I do next? And we'll list out 10 different things and different steps that you have to take. But if we went ahead and just said blank, went to a new group, said, hey, you've been hacked, here's the things you do, they would have no idea what they're talking about. So
No,
when we talk about the different topics that we have, hey, what's a cookie? How do you clean them?
right.
What's the pros and cons of cleaning them? What goes away? You better have your passwords before you clear your cookies because otherwise you're gonna have to reset them. Hey, I'm gonna have to go freeze my credit. Well, that's another piece. How many times do you got to do it? Once, twice, three times? Guess what the answer is? Um, hey, I've got to go change my password. How do I create a new password? Make sure I don't reuse it. All of those are individual classes that are bite-sized chunks for people to fully understand it before we take on a use case tech talk like, hey, you've been hacked now, what do you do? Or
Correct.
hey, here's fall detection and response, and here's the technologies. Well, if you don't know anything about smart speakers, and you don't know anything about cameras, and you don't know anything about your Wi-Fi, and you don't know anything about how to make all these things
You're going to be
connected, so
frustrated
they
as heck,
right.
right?
So those big classes, those use case classes, become a waste of time and non-added value. So what those 200 plus topics are individual pieces to help us get to those real life situations where people actually need a solution.
Right. I'd like to look at just the passwords things you mentioned. I mean, just to get people, from the basics, let's say the 100 level tech talk, right, all the way up to 400, let's say. We need the prerequisite stuff, which is, how do you make unique passwords for each site that just, you can remember and you can apply. And we talk about, how we can just create passphrases and customize them and stuff like that. But then on top of that, now we have to layer things like password managers, then
Yes.
layer things like two-factor authentication, which is required now when we do anything medically or on financial. Then we can
Yes.
talk about pass keys and all of these things don't make sense unless you start at the very fundamental thing of okay, we can get unique passwords for everywhere we go.
Where we talk about competence, the journey, competence, confidence, and evangelism.
Yes.
Competence is, understanding the basic building blocks of technology and the things that affect us as a consumer. And then confidence about trying new things or buying new devices. I remember when we started this, people would not even upgrade their operating system for fear of things changing.
Right.
And now they're like, hey, can I move? Can I
Right. Can
change?
I do it now?
Yeah,
It's
hold off.
true.
Don't worry about it. Give it a 6 months. Um, and then evangelism, and this is where the real magic comes in and beyond our reach, is that our evangelists are helping their friends and their families.
And that's like 5% of our population, but they are
Yeah.
critical, right?
Well,
And once they poke their head out, everybody understands who they are. And they earn that
yeah.
right. It's really
Yeah.
nice.
And evangelism is the same thing. It's like, what is it? Exuberance, it's excitedness, it's passionate. I mean,
Yes.
being an evangelist is all those positive adjectives that come with it.
Right. But if it doesn't have the efficacy behind it, you don't get credibility. And these
Yes,
people have earned their credibility.
they have. They have. Um, Good. So, but beyond just the tech talks, the office hours, we've also provided micro learning.
Yes.
And
And
micro
that's
learning,
relatively new.
it is relatively new, and it takes a while, but we put them in terms of blogs and reels being short videos. But the blogs, I mean, we've got, 5, 6, 10,000 views on our blogs each
Right.
year. And we're putting out things like, step-by-step pieces of just a subset of one of those topics. Good example, how to clean cookies. Well, you know what? If you don't remember our tech talk on it, go to our blog, look up our blog on clearing cookies in Safari or Chrome or Firefox. It's laid out right there.
Right. But
Um,
we decompose it to just one skill, right?
yes,
And then
yes,
to get this one skill, here are the things that you need. And we walk them through it. We walk them through it with videos, right? We walk them
yep,
through it with walkthroughs of, snapshots. And then we also walk them through, with words. So all of those resources are available within a blog and its attendant media.
yes. Available on Facebook, our Instagram, a little bit on TikTok, but our website is the primary source of that information at anvcs.org.
Yes,
I forgot to mention right off the bat, we are a nonprofit.
correct. And
Um,
it, and that I thought that was interesting how that happened for us because remember we started this as a for-profit and we wanted to help people live independently as long as possible. And we were starting to bring out products and services that go along with this. And then the shutdown hit. And we had this huge community on the peninsula And we were like, we can't abandon them. We got to help them. And it kind of
Yes.
morphed into this. And the healthcare districts found out what we were doing. And they're like, hey, you know, how can we help? And they started funding us through grants. And then it just grew from there. And we said, okay, that's our new business model.
It is our business model. Yeah, the little thing called the pandemic again, I keep talking about. Um, you know, but I mean, honestly, a lot of the things we were doing could be considered public benefit.
Very much so.
I
Well,
think we started as
even our for-profit was a public benefit company.
yeah, and but it made more sense just to be a nonprofit, and um, it kind of gives us in and of itself gives us a little bit different credibility.
Yes, very
We're
much
actually
so.
working for our community and our people, which is, I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, why did you decide to do this? I mean, I know you met me and and Shalene, you said, "Hey, I want to work with these guys." But I mean, honestly, why is this important to you?
So it started off for me because I saw what was happening to my parents and my wife's parents. And the fact that we could take simple things like an Alexa device and make it so that their home was much safer, that with Alexa and now all of the services that are on top of that, they could reach emergency services. And then at that time, my mom was also traveling a lot between here and San Jose to see family. And this is here is in Sacramento. And then she'd get to San Jose and she'd go, oh, shoot, did I turn off the iron? Oh, shoot, did I turn off the stove? Oh, no, did I change the thermostat? And now we put all that on a smart home, and on her phone, she can easily check the status of those. And if she needs to, change the status. And that was the beginning of it for me and helping my mom. And I said, well, hold it. How can we do this writ large? And I went looking for other people that were doing it. That's how I met you. I met you in Palo Alto, and we had very similar outlooks, and we just decided, hey, let's partner up.
Yeah, I think long and hard about why I do this, and when I left Big Corp, I really decided what I wanted to do was help people.
Yes.
Um, my first job, the decisions I made immediately impacted people. And that was in the pre-hospital care system, which was the ambulance company, right? And so I was making all these logistical transportation algorithm type of decisions that impacted people when they called for help. And so when I left, when I went to Big Corp and felt a little bit like George Jetson, um, I left there and decided I wanted to do something different. And I still love technology, but I think back a little bit further. My dad, as you know, fought Parkinson's for like 45 years.
Yep.
He was never a very talkative man, but he was always quiet. But he did, have his monthly bridge games with his college buddies. And as he got later in life, he couldn't visit as much. He got further away. And, and I think really hard about this stuff about my dad, me hooking up my dad with just online bridge games or just, programs with bridge games. And I kind of took it for granted because, I always like technology. But then
Right.
I look around and it's like, well, nobody else was doing that at that time. Um, but it brought him a little bit of happiness being able to play bridge and kept his mind working. It kept his mind sharp through later years, and he could still whoop me in bridge, you know, even towards the end when he was closer to 90 years old. Um, And so, I think the combination of service, which I think is a lost meaning these days, personal experiences, and loving technology helped bring me to where we're at today. And more than anything else, and it's funny because when we talk to other people in other companies, they're like, "Really? You want to help everybody, including other companies?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do." And I think again that helps us being a nonprofit is that we're just here to help people.
Right.
And it feels awfully good to be able to help people. This is a different danger than we had when we were younger. This is much more serious in a lot of ways that our whole lives are online.
Right. And we have gone into several places, like when I look at Eschaton in Carmichael here, they were getting scammed constantly. And since we've offered the classes now, the the number of scams have almost disappeared. And what it is, it's not just us. It's, we've kind of radiation hardened, the residents there in the sense that they now know what to look for or what things to be sensitive to. Just the fact that, oh, hold it, this email or this text is making me feel fearful or making me feel anxious. Just that alone puts them on alert. And then when somebody else falls for something and they pass it along, immediately it hits the group and they go, wait, 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 you shouldn't be doing that. And they kind of self-police in that regard. And it's been very satisfying to protect them that way. Oh, I think you're on mute. What happened there?
Yeah,
There
it's
we go.
there's lots of success stories. We also have tragedies.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about the importance of passwords, like we did a password class today, and the importance of passwords. And just a fun fact, 6% of the people across the world have unique passwords for all their accounts. Just 6%.
Just 6%.
And so why is that important? Why is it important to have a unique password? Well, I tell the story about our 95-year-old client who reused all his passwords.
Yep. Same password
Yeah,
everywhere.
same password everywhere. And he got his phone stolen, or at least transferred to another phone to some hackers. And they opened up 30 online accounts. They changed all his other passwords.
Yep.
Um, and he basically, even though we were able to retrieve everything, he passed because he had a heart attack. The stress was too much for him.
Very
And
much so.
so, we use these, we have both the success stories and the tragic stories as well, but it also shows the importance of what we do.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start wrapping up this introductory podcast, but let me ask you one more question. Why do you think our clients love us? Why do we have, I mean, we have, like I said, about 2,500 people. People come every class. Just sometimes they come for every class. Um, People won't go to a class for a few months and then they'll pop back in for a class, but they know we're here. So why do you think they love us?
I know from my experience, whether it's you that's leading the tech talk or me that's leading the tech talk, people feel we're approachable. The magic sauce in that is that we don't. It's not a lecture. We're trying to encourage an exchange, a discussion. That's why we call it tech talk, not a class. It's not a lecture at all. And people bring their devices. They will actually try things live while we're teaching them the lesson. They will ask questions. The more tech savvy people will try to, do this and kind of lead the way, and others just follow along. And it's really nice to see that happen. Then they also know that they can trust us. And the trust happens in a lot of ways. They ask us for help, and a lot of times we end up doing in-home support. But also when we're in the facilities, we set up a chain of accountability and ways to report in to the IT people that are there. So all of this stuff is being back channeled and properly held in account so that we can A, protect them, and B, when we detect something that is happening, we can go to their family members a lot of times because we've met them and say, hey, we've noticed this, and maybe you need to help dad with this a little bit more, which has really helped some of our clients avoid, some pretty significant losses.
I think we're just funny.
It is fun though. Come on. Well,
Well, we
it's
inject a lot. You know what? We inject a lot of humor, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, I'd hate to hear my family or my wife hear about how many times we say, well, my wife doesn't know this, and whether she does or doesn't, it's
Right.
just it's kind of a prop,
She's
um
the straw man.
is right. And so it's again, it's part of being approachable, it's part of being humble, but I think more than anything else, what we do is, like you said before, we listen, obviously. Um, but I think like I said, we treat our seniors like wise, mature adults who want to learn.
Yes,
And and you mentioned it before that we're the last generation to know what a dial tone is. We have context.
very much so.
We helped
It,
you and I help build the internet.
yes,
We helped build a lot of this stuff. And things still, while they're smaller and faster and quicker, they still use the basic tenets of construction. And so I think we are our generation, whether you want to say we're the Gen X group or whatever, we're the ones who had the first awakening to technology. But again, we believe that every senior has a voice and that we treat him with respect. And
very much so.
maybe that's part of our Asian background and influences.
Yeah,
Um,
because elders get respect automatically, right? I mean,
they
that's just
do.
part of the culture.
They do. But also on top of that, is like I said, we believe that people have the ability to learn. And I think that's what we want our community to do is learn.
Yes.
It's funny because I know a lot of other people who are in the tech help space or providing services at different locations, and they're just swiping and telling people how to get to solutions. And it's really memorization. Swipe left, swipe up, swipe down, swipe right twice, highlight three times, whatever. And we're kind of explaining how all this stuff is supposed to work. And the more that we look across all the technologies and all the platforms, they all kind of work alike because they'll steal from each other,
Right.
best ideas and what works. And so, again, I think more than anything else, we treat our community and our seniors with respect.
Very much so. And because of that respect, they're very open to how we approach them. And so when we go about teaching things conceptually, big picture, gestalt, if you will, that, hey, this is how the overall thing looks. And then we can then dig down and show them, okay, then this is where you can swipe, get to this screen, get to this switch. They can see both of those and link it all together instead of just trying, like you said, you know, this step, this step, this step, but then you get an operating system update and it doesn't work anymore. But if you
Exactly.
understand, the big picture, you can still get your way through it.
Yes. All right. So this is any other final words to say about this? This is again just an introductory podcast to nvcs.org. Before we sign off, is there any other final words you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just want to say I love what we're doing. I mean, I have no problem getting up in the morning and putting effort into this. This is a really it's a passion of mine, and it is so rewarding to be able to help our seniors, our communities that we're building, get that next step that they want to do in tech.
It is. It is very fulfilling, both in our tech talks and the people we meet, the people we support. Um, I believe we're saving our seniors a lot of frustration. We're saving them from identity theft. We're getting them help in healthcare and tech and able to monitor their health status a lot more easily than they once were. It is ultimately fulfilling to what we do and why we do it. Um, I'm really glad I met you and I met our third partner, Shalini. Um, and that we were able to build this to help impact more and more people. Visit us though at www, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam.org or anvcs.org. This is the Senior Tech Unfiltered podcast. We will be bringing you more conversations with local experts, local senior center directors, um, people in technology. We'll be doing this more and more because it's fun
Yes,
and it's part of our mission to spread information about all sorts of things.
very much so.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, this is Eric,
And this is Veda. Thank you
and
all.
we are part of AnewVCS.org.
Good night.
Come on.